All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual competing with the PFL on their April 12th card, and an incredibly exciting lightweight matchup set to go down as Cassius Clay Collard takes on Patricky Pitbull, and great getting to have Clay back on the show. How's your day going there, Clay?
It's going wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and just curious, like what your thoughts might have been when this fight was initially offered to you, just in the context of it seems like it fits right in with your style in terms of like you seem to generate a lot of those fight of the year quality fights. I would think this opponent would fit well in that.
Yeah, we're hoping so. We hope, it seems like he likes to stay on the feet and trade blows. And everybody knows that I love to go fisticuffs. So, yeah, we're hoping for that potential for sure.
And is this a guy you've been following for a while now? Like, were you already like acutely aware of Patricky Pitbull's resume and skills prior to the bout being locked in?
Once PFL signed Bellator, that's when I really started paying attention. And the Pitbull brothers were two of the big names that were with the organization. So that's when I started paying a little more attention. And then, I got the chance to fight one of them. So, yeah, we've definitely seen all his fights and been watching him. So,
Yeah, and just in talking about that, like you're a guy who's placed well in a number of PFL seasons and have been with the company for a while. Like, what are your thoughts on the influx of like 155 pounders from Bellator now in this season?
yeah, we got, I think, like six new people, all from, all new guys. So it's pretty much a whole different roster. Um, I think they keep making my job tougher and tougher to win that belt, but we're not one to shy away from challenges. So line them up, man.
Yeah, and I think fans love you for that kind of attitude. I think the gamesmanship is evident, but there was something I saw on social media a bit ago just in talking about that belt. I saw you were saying that you see more value in the PFL belt than the $1 million prize in and of itself. I feel like I understand what you're articulating when you say that, but could you expound upon that a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to make money, and there's only one world championship. And PFL always states that it's the toughest tournament in sports. It's the toughest tournament in mixed martial arts, and I agree with that. It's not easy to go fight after fight after fight, camp after camp after camp, and stay healthy and stay motivated and just stay on top of the with the rankings and the point system. And it's extremely hard to get that belt, and it's something we've been chasing for a while. So yeah, we want the gold money can't buy.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting you say that. Like, there's a lot of ways to make money because, like, the last time we were talking was before your Anthony Pettis fight, and it seemed like you had quite a few different jobs concurrent with like your combat sports efforts. Like, you worked as a lifeguard, you were saying, and like at a car wash and at a country store called IFA. Like, it seemed like you did a little bit of everything, working to sell internet from what I remember.
Yeah, I bounced around and did what I had to be able to pay the bills while I was training. None of them were really great jobs. I wasn't making a bunch of money, but my goal's always been fighting. So, we're lucky to be able to do this for a living now.
Yeah, for sure. And just cool to see what you've been able to do, not even just in MMA, but speaking of concurrently, like also what you've been able to do in the sport of boxing. And it's cool that you're able to do that under the, PFL banner and whatnot, just them allowing opportunities for fighters and some other combat sports and all.
Yeah, for sure. The PFL has been an amazing promotion to work with and work for, and I hope I can keep putting on shows for them.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot to talk about with the fight for sure, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on, I guess, some other news that is kind of going on just because, I mean, you were known for fighting, Max Holloway and doing so on such short notice, which again shows that gamesmanship. I guess I'm curious what your thoughts are on this looming BMF title fight between himself and Justin Gaethje.
Man, Gaethje's a gamer. Max Holloway's a gamer. It's going to be definitely an exciting fight. Man, it's a toss up on who I think's going to win. Like, I can't really. I like both the guys. I like both their styles. I think Max has a little bit cleaner striking. I think Gaethje hits a little harder, so it's an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, for sure, and not even necessarily asking for a prediction, but just general overview, and I guess kind of a similar sentiment for this boxing bout that's coming up because in an interview with MMA Junkie, it didn't seem like you, I guess, looked at Nate Diaz's boxing in the highest regard, we'll say, but just curious your thoughts on that Diaz versus Masvidal rematch this summer, but now under boxing rules.
I man, Nate Diaz looked like crap fighting Jake Paul. Like he looked like you don't know how to throw a jab, dude. Like you're as long as you are, and I was ducking his head into him. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think Masvidal is gonna beat him up, but
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, keeping it short and sweet in a sense. But one of the things I was noticing on your Instagram that caught my attention, just because I guess it's also in alignment with, some of my favorite fighters. I saw you got to meet Fedor. What was that whole experience like?
oh man, that's he's the greatest, man. One of the greatest for sure. We were just both in the gym getting a workout before, leading up to the fights. He was there with a guy he was working with, and I, asked him for a picture, and they were in the middle of the workout. So he's like, I'll give you, like after the workout. Uh, yeah, I mean, dream come true meeting that guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it takes me back to like the days where I kind of got into combat sports and what sort of motivated me from, I guess what I'm doing and stuff like that. Is that kind of similar to you in a sense? Like it seems, I mean, I guess it seems like you've been wrestling since you were like around 6, I believe I had read, and boxing since you were like 11 or so. Like, was that some of the stuff that kind of really inspired you early on, I suppose?
Yeah, when I first started my career, I bounced around to a few gyms, and I spent some time in Colorado training with a guy named Judah Ledge, and he was a huge Fedor fan. And I really didn't follow other other promotions other than like the Ultimate Fighter and the UFC at the time. And he was the one who introduced me to Fedor, and I just fell in love with everything about him, man. Just the cold demeanor the whole time he's fighting. Just the dude's a savage, So he's definitely he definitely became an idol of mine.
Yeah, for sure. And something else I kind of wanted to touch on, and obviously the way the PFL season is structured, it's kind of predicated on what the outcomes are largely, and not overlooking this fight. But is there anyone else in that lightweight field that you'd be interested in testing skills against if everything kind of lines up this season?
Man, anybody that's gonna want to strike with me, I'm gonna be down to fight. They got a couple grapplers in there, and I've been working on my grappling a lot, but a fun fight to me is somebody that's gonna, stand there and let's, you know, let's throw down. So any of those guys, if they're willing to stay on the feet, like that's who I'm looking to fight.
Yeah, I guess it's good that you're matching up in this opening season fight with a guy that gets called the king of KOs in like a Bellator context, right?
Yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see if he decides to stand there after the first round.
And just something else I thought was interesting from like that time we'd spoken before the Pettis fight. Like you were saying, you've never tested beyond a white belt in jiu-jitsu, and you're like, oh, I'll be a white belt until I die. Like it's a real dirty white belt, but all the same. Like, is that still the case?
Yeah, I still am a white belt. I think after this fight, I think I read the Hicks and Gracie book, just the Breathe, and after reading that, I was like, man, I think maybe I want to get my black belt eventually. So I think after this fight, I might start testing and hang that dirty white belt up for a little while. But yeah, I mean, just the mentality I'll keep the same, is like I'm gonna be a white belt for life. Like I want to constantly be learning and growing in the sport. So
Yeah, and that's something that I gleaned from looking at your social media. Like it seems like you're very interested in just like trying out new things and trying to grow beyond what you're at. Like it seems like you just have a natural curiosity and drive in that regard.
yeah, I'm constantly trying to just make myself better. I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and that's just in every aspect of life. So
And I know we were talking about the belt ultimately having more value to you than that $1 million, but another quote from our prior chat that stood out to me, like you were talking about allocating that $1 million to, giving the backyard to your dog that he truly deserves. Is that kind of what we're also looking at with that?
yeah, man, I now got 4 kids. Um I have a little boy. He's almost 2, and then I got 4 other boys as well. So now it's the backyard my kids and my dog deserves.
No, it's awesome, man. And I guess something else I kind of found interesting, like I'd seen that, like you kind of got into boxing to, fix a car that you had at the time, then ended up getting stolen, which is kind of curious, being that your nickname is Cassius Clay Collard and the whole bit, just because of that whole Muhammad Ali origin story when he was Cassius Clay getting his bike stolen, and he got into boxing to kind of find the guy and beat him up. So there's a bit of synchronicity there almost. Not really a question. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, man. I've loved boxing since I walked in the boxing gym. I fell in love with it. So I think the name's fitting. I actually took the name because of a guy named Cassius Marcellus Clay. So if you want to Google him sometime, check him out. He's got some pretty cool stories about that guy.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, always down to glean more knowledge about combat sports, just in the spirit of what you're talking about. I mean, always something to learn at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, man, he had nothing to do with combat sports other than he was a badass. He took a bullet in the chest and ran the guy down and ended up stabbing him, stabbing him to death. But yeah, yeah. So I don't know.
Is it just like a mindset thing? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, is that like a mindset thing? Like, is that like what you, I guess, project in the cage? Like where did the reasoning for that being your nickname kind of come from, based on that individual?
So my mom actually told me the story about him and told me to look him up, and the play on Muhammad Ali was part of the reason, and then just how badass this other Cassius Marcellus was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Like it's definitely, I've got a lot of shade from a lot of people for calling myself Cassius Clay as well, but love me or hate me, I'm still gonna be me.
Yeah, I mean, you always bring it and always have those entertaining fights, as we've been talking about through this thread. And you were almost saying with Pitbull, like it's kind of interesting to see if he will indulge a bit more in the stand up. I guess I'm wondering if you're a fighter who, I guess, visualizes outcomes to your fights a fair bit, or are you more looking to get into the smart cage on the 12th and, I guess, be more adaptable with where the fight may go?
Yeah, I like to go where the fight takes me. If you get too caught up on like this is the game plan, this is what needs to happen, this is what needs to happen, then sometimes when it doesn't go that way, it can throw you off. So I'm just gonna stick to what I'm good at, and wherever the fight takes me is where I'm gonna go. So
Yeah, no, definitely understand that mindset and really appreciate you making some time to talk ahead of this fight, Clay. I guess I'm curious if there's maybe a parting thought that you might want to add as we're kind of wrapping things up here, though, man.
Yeah, maybe just give a couple shout outs. All my boys at 4-7 helping me get ready. Dog culture, 1% fitness for keeping me lean and mean. Dude Wipes just jumped on as a sponsor, so thank you for that. And other than that, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I did
Oh
see.
no,
Oh,
I got to give Optimum Realty and Silver Lining a shout out as well.
Yeah, no, always love to see that, and I did see the Dude Wipes newer sponsorship post recently, so always love to see that. The money getting in the fighters' pockets is always a beautiful thing, and just in the spirit of the whole PFL $1 million tournament and this big kickoff with Patricky Pitbull, definitely in line with that too. So thanks so much for making the time again. To reiterate, man, looking forward to seeing this fight on April 12th. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, Clay. Thank you.